What's up everybody and welcome back to the channel. In this video for the First Descendant today, we're dealing with another question which is popping up a lot in my comments for my most recent videos, and that is, what is the most efficient gold farm? I've made a few of these videos, but I haven't made one in a while, and the situation has sort of changed. So there's a little bit of additional detail that I can add to this conversation that can help you make an educated decision as to what you should be doing to farm as much gold as possible in the shortest amount of time. Now, with the weapon core system being in place right now, gold is at an all-time high importance because, of course, you need tons of gold to be able to skill your weapon cores up. So it's absolutely worth it to find as much gold as possible, and I'm going to try and help you to do that. Now, as usual, prepare yourself for a flashbang. So basically what we're dealing with here is I've got a bunch of different activities depending on where you are in the game and what you can do comfortably, and this should basically help you hopefully decide on something that is not very stressful for you and that you can easily accomplish, because the last thing that you want is a gold farm to be super difficult. You want it to be a highly repeatable activity that you can grind. You can essentially just make as much money as fast as possible. Now, every single amount that you're seeing here now that we're going to be discussing is not influenced by any boosts. That means in the game, of course, you are able to put character boosts on. You can buy these in the shop or you get them as rewards for various of the events in the game. But there's a boost here, for instance, for gold gain plus 30%. So if you equip one of these boosts, that's going to increase the amounts that I'm showing you in my Excel file by 30%. Of course, you can also have increased Kuiper drop rate on and gold drop rate on your armor on a farm set, and that's also going to increase your yield even more. So think of these numbers as the bare minimum that you can get, and it can only get better from here if you use a boost and if you have like a farm set or something like that on. So first things first, infiltration dungeons, and I can just quickly tell you what I mean by that. So if you go to the map here, infiltration dungeons are basically these red ones over here, and when you click on them, you say infiltration dungeon, and it's the 400%ers, so the more difficult ones. So these ones are very good to grind for several reasons. You get really good XP, weapon proficiency, and you actually get a huge amount of raw materials and reactors and stuff like that to drop. So generally speaking, this is all in all a good activity to grind, because you're just getting a lot of the stuff that you need in the game by default. So you need to level a weapon, you need to level a descendant, something like that. But the point is, you also need to be able to deal a fair bit of damage. All of the information, once again, here is looking at it from a solo player's perspective. So some of these activities can be easier if you have a team, and some of them can be more difficult if you have a team that don't know what they're doing, because it will severely slow you down. So everything here is based on solo. Your mileage may vary if you play with friends. It might go quicker, it might go faster. Once again, it's impossible to simulate all of these variables, but I tried my best. So when we look at 400% infiltration dungeons, and I also try to look at it from the three meta choices that you basically have at the moment right now, if you want to do this activity as fast as possible. So the three characters that I'm talking about, of course, is Bunny, Freyna, and Innes. So in my opinion, these are the three that you should be using if you want to do this activity as fast as possible. They're the best AoE descendants in the game. Yes, there are descendants like Sharon and so on, but I'm also trying to fit, you know, kind of like position it in such a way as which descendants players are most likely to have. Ultimate Sharon is not nearly as popular as Ultimate Freyna, for example, and so, you know, we went with Freyna, Bunny, and Innes. But we have times here, so if you are using Ultimate Sharon or any other descendant, you can measure yourself against these times, and that will give you an indication as to, you know, where you are in terms of like the earning capacity that you have right now. So specifically with 400% infiltration dungeons, with Freyna, you're looking at an average completion time of like 4 minutes and 18 seconds, which means you're doing 14 runs an hour, which means you're pulling out about, let's say, just under 3.3 million gold in 1 hour. Okay. Then in terms of Bunny, this might be a case for you that you can do this faster with Freyna than Bunny, but I've always been able to do these dungeons faster with Bunny than Freyna. Freyna, I can put an average time of 3 minutes and 48 seconds on these, and that gives me 16 runs per hour, and that rakes me in a nice 3.7 mil gold. And then last but not least, Innes, who's the newest descendant on the block, and most people might, or many people might not necessarily have her, I don't know. She seems to be really popular, so I kind of feel like this is the Descendant that everybody ended up buying or grinding for. But if you use Innes, she is by far the most superior grinder in the game right now, and especially in terms of AoE. You know, it's impossible to compare her to the other two. I mean, Bunny and Freyna have 100% been power crept out of the game by Innes, and if you can play her well, you literally don't need these other Descendants. Never mind the fact that she also just absolutely shreds bosses. So, you know, good. But I can get an average time of 2 minutes and 56 seconds with Innes, which means I'm netting 20 runs an hour. And with 20 runs an hour, I'm pulling in 4.7 million gold. So that's if we're doing the 400% infiltration dungeons, and that's not bad. Okay, from an earning perspective, especially on the inner side, they're pulling in a huge amount of XP, weapon proficiency, so you can grind weapons like a fucking animal, and you're getting raw materials, a lot of weapons to dismantle, you're getting reactors, you're getting components, all of that stuff. And so, you know, this is a great way to spend if you don't have a lot of those things yet. If you need reactors and stuff, you never know, you might lock onto a reactor. Of course, it's not the point to focus on using this for reactor farming, because I think you'll want to not live anymore. But basically then the gold, as I mentioned, yeah, with Innes, again, just showing you here, 4.7 with Innes an hour. The next one is our special ops. Now, these are hard special ops, not the normal ones. So if I can show you, that's basically over here in the game. You can go over here, and every season they kind of like highlight, you know, two different ones. So pretty much at the moment right now, our choices are either Kuiper Mine Blockade in Sterile Land or Echo Swamp, which is a resource defense one. These are two different kinds of ones. So let's talk about Echo Swamp first. This is kind of like a defend the point one, where you have lots of enemies streaming at you from different angles. Now, this might seem anecdotal, and I'll show you this when we get to the Sterile Land one, but it seems to be that this Echo Swamp one tends to attract more, let's say, less experienced players, and this is a one where you oftentimes find people not pulling their weight, or kind of like, you know, just hanging around and not really contributing, everything like that. This definitely tends to be the one where players kind of like try to leech XP. That's basically what I'm trying to say. And even then, oftentimes the teammates that you do get are like very low level. They basically just started out and they kind of like not really dealing a lot of damage, and this can get kind of tough. This Echo Swamp, I was able to get an average of 12 minutes 34 seconds per run. I did this across the space of 10 runs just to kind of like establish a nice baseline. And that's a lot. That's a long time per run. And also bear in mind that I was fortunate that in the 10 that I tested, I didn't fail. But it has happened in the past that you make it up to like round 8, round 9, something like that. And then the damage is just too much. The teammates are not great enough. And then you kind of like just die. Unfortunately, the point is you are depending on other people to carry their weight. And so that's really the point. So with 12 minutes and 34 seconds, you can do about 4.5 of these in an hour, which means that you're pulling in about basically 5 million. Okay, so this is almost equivalent to an hour's worth of work doing 400% infiltration dungeons. The benefit that you have with this over doing like 400% infiltration dungeons is that the weapon XP is also really good. By the way, the relationship here works like this. The weapon XP is more on Echo Swamp and the character XP is a little bit less. And then on Sterile Land, the character XP is a bit more and the weapon XP is less. That's the relationship between the two. But in any case, the other advantage that these special ops also have is you can also get quantum incubators and fine adjustment controls as rewards. You can also get money. So sometimes you get lucky and you get like 100k, 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 and that obviously drives up your amount as well. But quantum incubators are something that you'll always need. Fine adjustment control access is something that you'll always need. So this is another avenue for you to basically get those materials. So that's also good. Now, when we get to Sterile Land, which is this one up here, the case is a little bit different. As I mentioned just now about Echo Swamp, it seems like there's a higher quality of teammates in Sterile Land, but that's also because you have to move around, so you don't necessarily have people that show up that leech XP, because when they're a certain distance away from the objective where you are farming, then they're actually not even going to get XP. So generally speaking, I find that these runs are more profitable. They feel better. It feels like people are pulling their weight much more. And also, you actually get a huge amount of more money, all right? So with these ones, we can actually get a much lower average time per completion at about 10 minutes and 40 seconds. I did 10 of these as well, just to compare. And basically, that means you can do about 5.8 of these in an hour. And that gets us a whopping almost 9 million gold. Okay, now again, like I said, the same thing here. There's an opportunity to get quantum incubators. There's an opportunity to get fine adjustment control access as rewards. You can also get money. So if you get really lucky, you can win a bunch of hundreds in a row, which will just drive your gold per hour up by a lot as well. But also, if you are specifically interested in leveling characters, the character XP here is phenomenal. You can basically get from 1 to 40 in one go if you're using boosts and stuff like that. If you're not using boosts, I think you can get from 1 to 36 or something like that, which is really, really good. Like being able to level from 1 to 36 in 11 minutes is fucking insane. So then this in my opinion is obviously, I would say, the superior option. By the way, everything since we talked about infiltration dungeons has been focused on doing it with Freyna. So bear in mind that if you're using someone like Innes, if you're using any descendant that you can beat my time with, your results will be better. Your yield will be better. So always remember that. This is like the bare minimum if you copy exactly what I'm doing. And that's, of course, you know, Freyna. So then lastly, second lastly, I just want to mention the fact that recently I've been showing videos where I've been saying, you know, you could do, if you want to do weapon cores, a lot of them, and you want to have an easy farm, Void Erosion Purge level 21 is super, super easy and very, very rewarding. I had a video where I showed all the results of that. It's like a couple of days back. Go check it out. But I do also want to mention the fact that if you're doing an hour's worth of Void Erosion Purge level 21, you're also raking in 8 million gold. You get about 300k at the end of every completion of those Void Erosion Purges. So while you're farming for weapon cores, you're actually making a shitload of money. So I highly, highly advise this activity if you just want to grind money, because you're also making cores, but you're making bank as well. And then something that absolutely needs to be mentioned that I think players end up skipping a lot is that ever since season 1, we've had these disruption activities. So if you click on the red here, the activity on the right, the left is 400% dungeons, the activity on the right. So these ones, they change every day, and every day you can do 4 of these. You can do 2 at this location, and then you can do 2 at this location. Now, these are different objectives. Some of them are where you have to dismantle the towers. Some of them are where you have to use the gun to shoot the doors. There are different ones here, but the point is that you should absolutely be doing these, because actually, if you can do these in a decent amount of time, and these days they're not very difficult at all, they've made them super, super easy, it means that you can do all 4 of these in about 12 minutes and 50 seconds. Your turnaround time is about 3 minutes 12 seconds on each one of these, and like I said, some of them are a little bit longer, and then usually how it works is you'll get one tough one and one easy one. But the point is, not only does this give you inversion XP, but it gives you a shitload of money. It gives you about almost about 1.3 million per completion. So if you do 4 of these, if you do the 4 that are available to you every day, you're going to be pulling in about 5 million gold. And that's just amazing. That's 5 million gold every day for basically 13 minutes worth of effort. So you should absolutely do that. So this is pretty much kind of like the activities that you should be focusing on. Basically, as a summary, if I can tell you how I do it, is depending on how I feel on the day. I always do my 4 disruptions. Okay, so I always do these disrupt invasions. That's 5 million just straight off the rap. Okay, then if I'm grinding weapon cores, which most recently I've been doing, then for every hour that I grind level 21, I'm pulling in another 8 million. So if I do 2 hours of level 21 and this shit here, I'm sitting on like 21 million gold, which is delicious. Okay, if you are not able to do level 21 Void Purge yet, or if you don't want to do that stuff anymore because you fucking hate weapon cores and you're over it, then do your 4 disruptions and then do an hour of Sterile Land. So that's this one up here. So if you do that hour that you spend on Sterile Land, you're going to be able to level a weapon up nicely. You're going to be able to level a Descendant, and you're going to be dragging in another basically 9 million. So if you do your 4 disruptions and an hour of Purge, that's 13 mil. If you do your 4 disruptions and an hour of Sterile Land, that's 14 mil. And that's, again, very important that you understand that that's without any boosts. If you have a 30% gold boost, then in this particular case here, you can add on another 3 million there, basically. Well, more like 4 million. But that's the point. So Doing it this way, if you spend about an hour and 15 minutes every day doing this, you're going to get out of whatever gold sink hole that you're in. You're going to have a ton of money, and you're going to be able to do whatever you need to do in the game and pay for it. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. That's it for the video. Let me know in the comments down below if there's anything that wasn't clear, that I didn't, if there's something else that you'd like me to test. I have a ton more information here, but I kind of like wanted to condense it as much as possible. But good luck with the farming. I hope you get all the gold you need. And as always, fucking cheers.